Hey everyone, Mike McCleary here along with Rich Henderson, and welcome to our weekly coaching call for Amazing Selling Machine. Before we get going, let's make sure that everyone here can see us and hear us. So if you can see and hear us, here's the question this week. What company did Amazon briefly overtake as the most valuable company in the world this week? So what company did they overtake? It was only for a little bit of time, but if you know it, comment below. And that'll tell us you can hear us and see us. And so I'll wait here to see if we can get some responses yet.
And just to give you like a bit of a hint, it's not Mike's company.
No, they got a long way to go before they can overtake that. All right. Yep. Martiza says Toys R Us. That's pretty funny, actually. I like that. Shade, Chris, Aaron Taylor, Tanika Williams, Raheem. Everyone's getting it right. It is Apple. That is correct. Apple. So yeah, when the big announcement was made that the administration from the United States had struck a deal with China to push back all of the increased tariffs for 90 days, the stock markets went crazy that day, and Amazon saw the benefits of it and rose. And for that day, when they closed, they overtook Apple, which is pretty crazy because Apple's valued at like insane amounts of money. They've come down since then, but still, I mean, they're like one of the most valued companies in the world, and they're only going to get more and more valued as their sales and profits keep going up. But yeah, so great. Welcome to the call, everyone. This week, we're here to talk about anything, starting with the welcome module all the way up through module 7. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask them here. Remember, we already talked about the launch a few weeks ago. This week is to talk about the additional marketing tools you have, such as sponsored products, ads optimization, brand registry, any more in-depth Amazon coupons questions. And if you're one of the new members who are joining, haven't been on any of the calls yet, welcome to this call. Feel free to ask anything that you've watched in the training so far. So if you're on the welcome module, you're on module 1, hit us up with any questions you have about those modules, and then we'll be happy to answer as much as we can. And remember, this Friday, module 8 is opening up. For those of you who were in on the ASM X launch, module 8 is opening up for you this Friday at 9 a.m. And for everyone that's joining, remember every Friday, 9 a.m., that's when the modules open up. So Rich, that is that's all that I have for now. So I'll let you take it from there.
You caught me unawares. Yeah, for all the new members, this happens a lot. Yeah, so well, I just wanted to welcome all our new members. You know, we had a bunch of new members join last week or the end of last week, so welcome. These coaching calls are incredibly valuable. If you're watching this as a replay, that's fine. Try and make the calls if you want. We have only got one more call, which is next week, but we'll continue after that is finished. We will continue doing more calls as regular as we can. So it's not like we're going to disappear anytime soon. So I think just briefly, I just want to talk to all these new members that are just getting started. So if you've been around for the last 7 weeks, then just bear with me. If you're new, you're just getting into the product selection phase. What I highly recommend you do is obviously go through all the training in module 1, but also watch the coaching call at the end of module 1. Obviously, it'll be a recording. You won't be able to ask questions live on it, but the odds are you won't come up with a question that won't be answered on that call. I think it was over 2 hours long. So Mike and I both gave some great advice, and we also answered an absolute, I was going to say a rude word then, a lot of questions. So do make sure you watch that, because at the end of the day, you know, like we create the training, we know as much of the questions as you could possibly think of, but something else always comes up. So you might have a question that isn't answered in the training, but I guarantee you if it's not answered in the training, it will be answered on one of the weekly calls. And to go with that as well, like product selection, when you watch that week 1 call, you will see me bang on about, you know, how it is the most time intensive. It can be the most frustrating. It is a question of just sticking at it. And especially don't give up, like don't go 10 pages in and then go, oh, I can't find any and give up. You need to go really deep in the pages. You know, the fact that we've got the access to Jungle Scout now makes it so much easier now to go much deeper. You know, you should be going down 50, 60, 100, even more pages, looking at all the results. It doesn't take that long. And also, when you're doing this, take breaks. Don't just sit there for like 4 or 5 hours straight, staring at the screen, looking at products. Walk away, take a break, do it for an hour, walk away, Go play with your kids, take your dog for a walk, do whatever you do if you want to just chill out and relax. Do that for 15, 20 minutes and then come back to it. And that's really all I've got, other than to say, you are joining this group sort of just over halfway through. It's not anything to put you off. Your modules will be still dripped to you. So you won't have access. You heard Mike mention there about Module 8 going live tomorrow. You won't have access to that. The main reason for that is we know from doing this for 6 years, the dripping the content week by week literally gives better results to all our members. So just stick at it, work your way through it. Tomorrow, if you've just joined, Module 2 will be going live for you, which is all about suppliers. If you haven't found your product yet or build your hot opportunity list yet, then you don't need to move forward. You can stick with just looking at products. Or, we mentioned taking breaks. If you want to take a break, go and look at what's coming up if you want. Again, with the Module 2 call, the Module 2 content, I highly recommend you go and watch the Module 2 call, because again, it's a long one. We answer a lot of questions. So the coaching calls are critically important to you. And last but not least, we're not going anywhere. Just because the course ends for the majority of people tomorrow, a week tomorrow, it doesn't mean we're going away. We will do calls. The mentors are all going to be there. We're going to be there in the community. All the members are in the community. The training doesn't go anywhere. It's there. You can do this at your own pace. You don't need to rush. But that's really all I've got, Mike.
Awesome. All right. Thanks. So one of the things I want to talk about this week is the launch, blitz, and rank. I know that for a lot of people on here, we talked about the other additional marketing tools, and the launch was about 2 weeks ago. We talked about it, but we're already seeing some updates in the community, some good results from the LBR. But LBR. So for the new members, let me make sure you guys hear this. LBR is an acronym for launch, blitz, and rank. So it's our own proprietary method for launching and ranking your products on Amazon. Totally within Amazon's terms of service. It just involves getting a lot of targeted traffic from various sites and using Amazon coupons. It works awesome. And we introduced the biggest change ever just inside of ASMX we've ever had, and that was using some called Amazon coupons. Now, they work different than how we've done it before, so I want to just give people an update that we're going to actually update the training here in the next 1 or 2 days to make sure everyone knows exactly what they should be doing to protect themselves, because we've seen some of these launches go viral in a very short amount of time. And so I'm going to show you a really, really easy step to make sure that if your launch goes viral and you're selling products 75% off, how to protect yourself for making sure that you don't sell out of all of your inventory. Because what happens is Amazon is supposed to turn off these coupons when you get to 80% of the budget you've allocated. So let's say you've done the math and you want to give away or sell 100 products at 75% off. Well, you calculate that and you set your coupon up so that it only should be allowed to do that. But Amazon only checks every 30 minutes. So if it's the holidays and your products are selling like gangbusters, because we have lots of people going out there looking for great deals right now, it's possible they could sell a lot more than that before Amazon turns it off. So we've already been notified of that, and we're going to show you a real easy way to protect your inventory so that cannot happen. But just be sure to, if you've already watched the Launch, Blitz, and Rank training, I'm going to post in the community once I've uploaded the new training on it. It'll be just an update to the video, and I'll tell you what it is. And I'll post it both inside of the community, and also if you're inside the Facebook group, I'll post that there as well. But the LBR is going great. So even someone sold out of all their products. They wanted to have a launch for, I guess, about 8 days, and they set aside how many products they wanted to sell for 8 days. They sold out all within 2 days. And so while some people may think, oh my gosh, that's terrible, it's not, because the way that launches are working now, if you sell a bunch of products all in a very short amount of time, it works just as well. So at that point, so if you get to the point where you sell your products out in a couple of days instead of the 8 days you want to, then just carry on like it's day 9. Move on to the next step that we walk you through inside the launch, just like it's day 9, and then you should be just fine. So it's really cool. I'm excited to see all the new members here, all the ASMX members who are probably getting ready to order their products if they haven't, all the other new members finding their products now. When you start launching your products using the new LBR, I am really excited to see all your guys' results. It's going to be really, really cool to see no one else in the industry doing what we're doing, and you guys are getting first access to this. Now, that's really all that I had. I wanted to talk just about the LBR a little bit, let you guys know about the update going into place. If you guys have any questions at all, again, feel free to post in the community, and either myself or Rich or the mentors will be there to answer your questions. So speaking of questions, that's my segue to turn it back over to Rich.
Yep, thanks a lot. These are the questions, for those of you who've not been on one of these calls before, these are the questions that other members have asked in advance in the community. You can always find, every week we do this, there will be an advanced questions, asking questions in advance, not advanced questions for the call. Mike and I go through these, and then we answer any ones that the mentors haven't answered, or that we think that are live, in other words, that you can ask right now. That either the mentors haven't answered, or that are really good questions that we think everyone would like the answer to. So as a word of warning, Mike and I do tend to sabotage each other on these questions, so I'm going to be very careful about usernames. I'm sure he's smiling now. I can't quite see his face because he knows I caught him. So the first one is Gesina. What do you think of BSRs dropping below the range after Black Friday and staying low for more than a week at around 40 to 60? When the lowest BSR should be 80 for Germany. Do you think I will have a problem with it since the inventory is already on its way? I have to mention that the BSR was okay based on the history up until Black Friday. So you've kind of answered your own question there. The last part, I have to mention that the BSR was okay based on the history. For those of you who don't know, you can check the BSR history of a product by, in Jungle Scout, just clicking on the number for the rank, and it will show you the BSR history. So what's happened here is that Gesina's product was in the range, it was fine, and then Black Friday happened, which is obviously a massive sales day in America, and it's followed by Cyber Monday. So because of that, you get big fluctuations in BSRs, because it's not just that there are a lot of sales. What you do find is that the majority of the sales that go on those 2 days are products which are good gifts. So it does sort of, it manipulates the BSR. I'm trying to think of the right word. It basically makes it, go crazy. You can get products that drop. In other words, go a really low number because they're making a lot of sales, or products that will drop out of the range at the high end because they're not getting any sales. But to answer your question, it's not an issue. Looking at what you're talking about here is, I would imagine that by the time your inventory arrives, it'll probably be back around where it was before. And, worst case scenario, it's only one product that's done that, you don't have to be number one. That's the great thing about this. That's what the criteria is all about. You don't have to be number one. Looking at what you're saying here, I have no problems whatsoever with your product. I really don't think it's an issue. And even if that one stays at 40 to 60, it's not a huge issue for you. And do bear in mind, we're talking about Germany here. For those of you selling in America, well, obviously the BSR ranges are different. So Gesina, nothing to worry about at all. I'm sure once your product goes live, you're going to have a lot of success. Oaken Sage, another similar question. My primary product's BSRs continue to drop, in other words, get lower, since Black Friday, and has stayed below the category cutoff of 100. It is currently at 58. BSR had never been below 100 prior and averaged around 300. Reviews are only around 250. Again, it's exactly the same situation, although it's in the US and not Germany. I think it's a good thing. At the end of the day, your reviews are still low, and yet, your competing product or your primary product has seen a big jump in BSR. It means it's popular. It means it's, that kind of product is popular right now. I would imagine over the next few weeks, it's going to go back to its normal BSR somewhere around there. It can take a week, 2 weeks, or even 3 weeks for it to settle down, because again, it's not just that you have those sales days in Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but also it's Christmas too. So people are still, people who like to shop really late for Christmas presents like me, they're looking now, and they'll even be looking, next week. So it's still going to fluctuate a little bit, but not enough to make you worry. And looking at your situation again, it's exactly the same as Gesina's, in my opinion. You don't have anything to worry about. And the next one is Mog Hand. I'm still in module 2, and I would like to know, for how long will we have access to the videos community and Resource Vault, and if we will have access to updates. I'm assuming you're one of our new members, because we did cover this a few times on earlier calls. You will keep access to the videos, the community, and the Resource Vault as long as they exist. We're not going anywhere. You don't lose access to anything. Once your course is finished, once you've finished module 8, there's no difference. The community is still there. The videos are still going to be there. The Resource Vault's not going away. None of these things are going away. They're going to be there forever. It's not something you need to worry about. We know that not everyone can progress as quickly as others. Everyone's got different situations. So we will leave everything's going to be up there, and especially updates. If you've been in the community, you might have seen posts about it. But so like ASM 1, which is like 6 years ago, all the way to ASM 9, or through to ASM 9, they all just got free upgrades to the ASMX training because it's new and more advanced and more up to date. So they all got access to it for no charge. So when we do another launch or we recreate the lessons in a few months' time, whatever, you will get access to that free of charge. So you don't need to worry about that. At the end of the day, we have a saying in Amazon, in Amazing Selling Machine, that it's no one left behind. And yes, we did steal that. I think that's from the Marines. But no one left behind. Like, we want you to succeed. If you are new and you go through all the other coaching calls, you'll probably hear me say it over and over again, that like, if you don't succeed, we don't succeed. And we desperately want to succeed, so we want you to succeed too. AJNB0503. I do love these usernames. In Seller Central under keywords, there is an area that says platinum keywords. What is this for, and should I be using it? You can't use it. Well, you can put words in there. It will make no difference whatsoever. Platinum keywords are for special companies. From memory, I think it's like huge companies. So the likes of Apple or any of the really huge companies, that they can use them. It's a specific thing that you have to be given access to. You will not have access. I don't actually know any third-party seller that has access to those, or not access to those, but that they can use those and they work. So ignore them. At the end of the day, if we don't, for the most part, if we don't tell you to do something in the training, then don't do it. AC Ducey, how's it going, buddy? I have absolutely loved the live coaching calls. Thank you so much. That's quite funny. My phone just went off because it heard me. I think it's AC Ducey actually triggered something on Siri. Anyway, I've actually loved the live coaching calls. Again, thank you so much. Is this the last weekly live coaching call? So I've already answered that. No, it's definitely not. Once the weekly live coaching calls are finished, sob, will there be regular live calls or interviews with successful ASM sellers? That's a great point that I didn't cover. So yes, we will be doing more calls. Mike and I will be doing more calls with the mentors. It won't be every week, however, but we will be uploading more interviews with successful sellers. In fact, we just uploaded one now, and I forgot to announce it. And it's with one of our own mentors, Ann Ferris. So we did an interview with her 6 months ago, I think. That is now in the supplementary module, which is below module 8. If you're new, you will have access to that module. It's not dripped out at all. Go and watch the interviews in there. There's some fabulous interviews in there. And as I said, we've just added Ann, and we will add some more. We know they're popular. It's just sometimes we forget to go and add them for you. Polly Lean, is it possible to have information on how to convert a professional Amazon seller's account created with personal name to an LLC? Some of us have questions on the tax interview when not a US resident. Is this topic covered in upcoming modules? So first of all, if your LLC does not exist already, and this is for people who are just joining us too, create your account with your personal information. If you create a brand new LLC, it has to have a brand new bank account. Those two things combined will cause issues with Amazon. Amazon don't like to see something that's brand new. They sometimes reject bank statements that don't have enough, they'll have like 2 transactions on them. They reject them because they want to see some kind of history. So first of all, go ahead, create it with your personal information. When you have your LLC created and your bank account for that LLC and a credit card associated with that LLC, then contact Amazon. Contact them, say, hi, we want to change our entity to an LLC. Is this okay, and how do I do it? I can tell you exactly how to do it, but asking Amazon to do it means that you've got a record of you asking them. They're going to say yes, and they're going to give you information on how to do it. But the fact that you've got a record saying in an email or a ticket, and don't call them, create a ticket that says this is how you do it, blah, blah, blah. It means if anything goes wrong, you've then got that to fall back on and say, hey, you told me to do this, or whatever it was. As for the tax interview, if you do not live in the US and you create an LLC, when you fill out the tax information or when you change your tax interview, because you change that too. When you add your LLC, in other words, you change from personal to LLC, you will have to go through the tax interview again. And because it's an American LLC, you will select USA as where your business is based, even if you live somewhere else. But that's only if your LLC is based in America. So yeah, that's my advice. Go ahead, create your account with a personal account with your personal information if your LLC isn't already up and running, and then change it later. If that's not enough, Polly, then please do go post in the community and tag me if there's anything else you want to ask. Matthew Derby, in my listing under the keywords tab, there's a field called target audience. Could I put some keywords such as boy, boys, or 6-year-olds into this field rather than my search terms field in order to get more total keywords into the listing? What's your experience using target audience? So we constantly test target audience. I think the last time we tested it, words in there were appearing as indexed, but Amazon mess around with this all the time. So by all means, do go and put a target audience in there. But if it's one of your main keywords, if it's a really good keyword for you, then make sure you put that in the back end if you haven't used it in your title and bullet points too. It's just covering yourself, because we're not, like I say, we're not convinced that the words in those areas automatically get your keyword indexed. But yes, you can go ahead and fill in those if you wish. Another question from Matthew. I read somewhere, oh, I hate that. I hate when people read stuff. Not ASM, I hate that even more. That in your backend search terms, it can sometimes be beneficial to use a hyphenated keyword. Example, just in case anyone couldn't figure that out. If I typed in bike pump into my search terms, in other words, bike-pump, into my search terms, it would cover bike pump and bike pump without a space between the words. This will save me a lot of character space if true. What's your experience? I'm not sure how that's going to save you a lot of character space. At the end of the day, if you've got bike and pump in your title or bullet points, or if you haven't got them there and you've got them in your backend search terms, Amazon is smart enough to know to index you for bike and for pump and for bike pump. And even if bike pump is in one word, like you described here with no space, they're smart enough to figure that out too. There's very few words I can think of that make, actually I might have to change that. But like, if it's a word that someone on a regular basis types in as one word, like bike pump, I would imagine nobody ever does that. But occasionally, you know, I'm not great at typing, someone might. Amazon is smart enough to figure that out. So you don't need, what you're saying is you're saving space. You're actually not, you're taking, it's the same thing basically, but don't put hyphens in there. There's absolutely no need for it. The only thing that should go into the back-end search terms are letters. In other words, no symbols, any of those kind of things, and that includes dashes. There's absolutely no need to do it. As I said, bike pump, in other words, if someone types in bike pump all as one word, Amazon's smart enough that if you've got bike and pump in your back-end search terms, they'll find it. Another one from Matthew. Will there be any coaching calls or other similar forum to ask you questions after week 8? I've kind of answered, yeah. As many of us are not completing week 7 action points, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, so I've already said this. Yeah, we're not going away. We will do more coaching calls. As I said, it won't be every week, but we will try and do them on a regular basis, so that, because we know moving forward, there's going to be questions that you hadn't reached. But for absolutely, like 100%, the community is not going anywhere, nor the mentors. The mentors will be in there answering questions in the community, and so will Mike and I. So, don't like sit around waiting for the next coaching call. Go and ask in the community, and you'll get your answers there. Jean Bizard, I have a question about the backend search. I've looked at the videos and in the community, but it's still unclear to me. Do we put all our remaining keywords one after another to get higher in the page rankings? So I'm assuming, quite 100% sure what you mean. I'll try and explain it. So any single words that you have not put in your title. So let's start it a different way. You build your list of keywords using the training. So you've got a big list of keywords. Any of those words that do not appear in your title or your bullet points should go in the back-end search terms. If you watch the training, the way I do it specifically with Helium 10 is to keep those single words ranked in order of their importance when combined with other words. So once you've used your bullets, once you've used those words in the title in the title and the bullet points, they don't need to go in the back end. But all the remaining words you want to get them in there, but put them in there in order in case you hit the limit of 250 characters. And remember that don't use any commas, it's just a space. So it's the word, then a space, then the next word, then a space, then the next word. Don't use commas, don't use dashes, don't use any kind of symbols or anything like that, just words. Hope that answers your question. If not, if you're on the call, go ahead and ask it, and one of the mentors will answer you. Oh, I'm going to get this one wrong. Oh, maybe no. Ahmed Adli. I'm going for that. I'm going after a textile, despite all your warnings. And he's put a smiley in there to make it okay, which is cool. What's your advice to me? If you're absolutely desperate to go for textile, that's fine. We've given you all the warnings. The two main things you need to make sure of if you go with a textile are, first of all, make sure they don't have a huge import duty. Different kind of textiles will have different kinds of import duty. I will probably get this wrong, but also bear in mind that that import duty is based on the cost of the product from the supplier, not what you're selling it for. So for instance, if it was 10% and you paid $3 for your product, then it would be 30 cents, not if you were selling it for $30, $3. But you must make sure you understand what that cost is going to be and how it affects your profit margin. If your profit margin is still okay, then that's great. The other thing is make sure there are no specific labeling requirements you need for this textile. If there are and you don't have them on there, one of two things will happen. It will either get stopped at customs and they won't let it through because it's not labeled correctly, or when it gets to Amazon, Amazon will take it down and say you can't list it because it doesn't have the right labels. So those two things are really important. Make sure if there is any extra import duty for that type of textile, that it's not going to hurt your profit margin too much. And secondly, make sure you completely understand what kind of labeling you need and that you comply with that labeling. Eskarami. I do not understand how to add these VIP club or activate for insert card at the end of my website, as these pages do not exist. Okay, so I can't really answer this without knowing what kind of website you've built. If you go and post this in the community as a question, tell us what kind of website you're using, whether you're using Wix or a self-hosted website or whatever it is, we can help you with that. If you're using Wix, it's really simple. You just click on the add page. It's actually in the training. But yeah, you have to create that link to use, or that landing page to use. But ask it in the community and tag both myself and Mike, and either ourselves or one of the mentors will help you with that. Another one from Eskarami. Is there a lesson inside ASM to teach how to add the emails to Aweber? I created the list, but not sure how to add the email. So I'm trying to remember if we did add them. Possibly not, but Aweber is quite straightforward, and they have some absolutely awesome video training. If you log into Aweber and look for the training, I think it's training or support, they show you exactly how to do everything. If you're still not sure how to add your emails, I take it you're talking about building your campaign. I'm pretty sure I did cover Aweber. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. If I didn't, then go and have a look on their website. Their websites, they're a really good company, and the support is really, really good too. If you still don't get an answer, then go post in the community. But I'm pretty sure, like sometimes it's difficult to remember everything because we created so many different versions of the training. But I thought I did actually cover Aweber. But if not, they have great support, or ask in the community and we'll help you. The next one is Millionaire from I can't quite see what the rest of that is. I am located in a Group 1 country. I understand that the money would be deposited directly into my bank account, but I'm considering to apply for a Payoneer account. The reason is that I'm currently working and only have one bank account. I believe that it can get really messy to have my personal transactions and my business transactions into one account. I also know that with Payoneer, I can choose when to transfer the money into my bank account or use the debit card. So, first of all, if you're in a Group 1 country, use your local bank account to create your Sell Essential account. Don't go through the extra level of like creating a Payoneer account and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to send you any money to your bank account. You're not going to have any issues till your product's live and you're making sales, which gives you plenty of time. If you still think, my personal advice here would be to create a bank account, another bank account just for your business. You can do that. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a company to do that. You can just go and create another bank account in your name and use that. But to start with, when you're creating your Seller Central account, use your existing bank account, because you will have to give them a statement, or you more than likely have to give them a statement. And they are going to look and see if you've got transactions in there. You have to show them transactions. So my advice is create your Seller Central account with your existing bank account. Once it's up and running, and if you've gone through any review or anything like that, it's been approved, then go and create either a Payoneer account or a local bank account, and you can add that later. They don't have any issue with changing a bank account. They may well ask you again for a statement or something like that. If it's Payoneer, Payoneer will give you what they call an Amazon statement. And if you've set up a new bank account, just make sure there's at least half a dozen to 10 transactions. They don't have to be business-related transactions, any kind of transactions. But the way Amazon are right now, they're being really picky about Seller Central accounts. Get your account set up the easiest way possible and make changes later. So that's what I'd do. I'd use your local bank account just for now. Don't forget, you've got to find your product, order your inventory, have your inventory shipped to Amazon before you even make a sale. After that, it will be another 2 weeks before you receive any money. So you've got plenty of time to figure this out and to create a new bank account or Payoneer if you wish. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce this. I'll give it a shot. Victor Shauchuk. If I got that right, I want you to post in the community and say, Rich, you're a genius for getting that right. When building product opportunity lists, do I have the same chance finding good products on page 5, 50, or 100? If chances are the same, why all ASM members have to start from page 1 and go from there, increasing the likeliness of all members finding the same products? Why not start from a random page like 75 or 175? Great question. And the reason is because it makes more sense to start where you first start seeing products. Just because a product appears on page 5 or 6 and all ASM members are seeing that, it doesn't mean that they're going to choose that product. And one of those products, you might go through, build your list of 15 to 20 hot opportunities through between 5 pages and 200 pages. And the one at the beginning might, the earlier page might be the best one you've got. It might have the highest profit margin or the highest demand but lowest competition. So it's important to go through them all, and you're not going to miss any that way. If we said, oh, pick a random number, then and someone picked 25, then there might have been their ultimate product on page 24. So that's the reason. If you really think that you prefer to find a product that's a lot, because don't forget, the further down the page as you go, it'll have less competition and there'll be less likely an ASM member chooses it, but that's not a big deal anyway. But also it'll have lower demand. That's the trade-off. So my strongest advice here is start where we tell you to start. Work your way through those pages. The difference between starting at page 5 or 50 is maybe a couple of hours. You're building a long-term business that's going to change your life. What's a couple of hours? Seriously. Take your time, be methodical, do things the way we teach you to do them. And I think Mike's just spotted something and removed it. But listen, seriously, this is a major business you're building. It's going to change your life. So take your time and do it. J River add TW, I guess. I understand the account opening process and requirements to open an account, and I do not have any problems to comply with them. Awesome. My problem is that my wife and I have been living for a long time now on another home in Detroit that used to be my late mother's residence. How can I use the secondary address for Amazon mail? You don't get Amazon mail, but anyway, if any, and product samples delivery, product samples don't matter. That's irrelevant when it comes to Amazon. And any other account business related issues. So you need to use one address or the other when you're setting up the account. If you're talking about, you're living, so you've used property A, let's say, you use all the information from that, you've got utility bills for that, your bank is registered at that address, you go ahead and create your Seller Central account. If you're talking about then getting samples and stuff like that, it can go to your new address. The only thing I'd say to you is that if that's a permanent change of address, then I would take the time to go and get your bank changed to that address, get utility bills in your name at that address, and even your driving license if that needs to have the address changed. But whichever is your permanent residence, it's difficult. Like, it's difficult for me to understand exactly what the situation is, but use whatever your permanent residence is. And whatever you do, never ever put two different addresses into your Seller Central account. So in other words, like, don't put your address as address A and then use a credit card that the billing address is address B. That will raise flags and get you into a situation with a review, and then you've got to go through a lot of proof, and it takes a long time. Tuan Huang, I need to get approved for the automotive category. Please give me some advice, such as how many pictures, details I need to show Amazon on my website, Facebook page, or anything else I need to know. So go and find, they give you the exact clear instructions on how to get approved. As far as your website's concerned, yes, you want pictures of your product, you want pictures, you want a page that's got your product on it, that kind of thing. But go and look at the automotive isn't actually that difficult. You shouldn't really have any issues with automotive, but go and check exactly what Amazon tell you. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, because obviously there's a ton of different categories. But I do know that automotive is one of the easier ones to get approved for. So go and check out their recommendations. If you're still stuck and want more advice, then post in the community. And I will actually see, I think maybe one of our mentors is in the automotive category and might be able to help you with that. But it's not a difficult category to get approved in. Dario, when setting up a Seller Central account using a freshly formed company, LLC, which documentation I may be required to submit apart from a certificate of incorporation? I don't have any utility bills for the company, and the business bank account will not show any transactions. So I kind of just covered this. My recommendation right now would be, even though you've set up your LLC, to create this in your with personal information. The main reason for that is that bank account. Excuse me. Amazon want to see transactional statements. So if you've got a brand new bank account that you haven't used, it's not going to have any transactions. It's not going to have any history. If you are desperate to go ahead with your Seller Central account, then yes, you will need you'll need your certificate of incorporation. And as far as business is concerned, that's all you need. When they ask for your utility bill, they're actually asking you to prove where you live. They're not, because basically, even though you create your account as an LLC, they still might want to see proof of the owner of that LLC. In other words, you. They might want to see proof of your address, which is normally a utility bill or driving license or something like that. You may have to, that's normally what you'll have to give them. So my strongest advice, if it's not going to cause you any issues, then go ahead and create your account with all your personal information, personal credit card, personal bank account. And then once you've got your bank account and everything set up and you've made some transactions on that bank account, then contact Amazon and say, hey, I'd like to switch to I just created an LLC. I'd like to switch to that. How do I do that? And they'll walk you through it. And for the same reason, again, you've got a record of them telling you you can do it and how to do it. Kristin Azima, or it could be Christina Zima, one or the other. I found a product on Amazon as my primary one. And after that, found a supplier in Alibaba who sells the same product. Should I contact the supplier for the sample, or should I continue searching Alibaba for a similar product, but not exactly the same as my primary product? It can be exactly the same. So, Mike does walk you through things you can do to differentiate your product from the other products. But as far as the supplier goes, at the end of the day, if the number one product, if you can get the same supplier as they're using, that's a good thing. Yeah. So don't say, oh no, that's a product that's already there, I can't use their supplier. Not at all. Definitely, don't rule it out. Contact the supplier. You may find a better supplier who supplies a different product. Might be slightly different products. So, but don't rule it out. You should definitely go ahead and still use that supplier. Contact them. See what kind of price and MOQ and everything. Don't rule them out. This username I can read. I like Mike better than Rich. Oh no, he changed it on me. Damn. I'm from Group 1 country. However, I wish to use Payoneer to avoid unnecessary costs with exchange rates. If I understand you correctly, in my Seller Central account, I need to use my local info for the address, credit card, and ID. And for my deposit method, I need to use Payoneer account info, not my local bank account. Okay. Exactly the same advice I just gave someone else. To create your account, in other words, to set it up, get it running, use your local bank account. You're in group 1. It's the easiest group. It's the easiest countries, list of the easiest countries to get approved in. They accept your local bank account, credit card, everything. Use that. Don't put hurdles in front of yourself before you've even created your Seller Central account. As I said before, they're getting really, really picky right now. Don't put your own hurdles in front of yourself. Create it with all your information. I understand what you're saying about the exchange rate, but don't worry about that right now. You haven't made a sale, okay? You need to get your Seller Central account set up. The easiest way to do it is with all your local information and local bank. By all means, once your account's set up and it's up and running and you got to a point where you're ordering your inventory, then by all means, add a Payoneer account. It's just Amazon, I am inundated right now with private messages from people that are having issues. Yes, some of them are making huge mistakes that are, quite clear, don't do this, and they've done it. But a lot of them still, they're not doing anything wrong. And it's just Amazon are just being really picky, so it's taking longer. Don't put yourself in a situation for no reason where it's going to be more difficult for you, because there is no reason. You haven't even created your Seller Central account. It's not like you're going to be receiving any money from Amazon in the next few weeks that you're going to benefit from the exchange rate on. So my 100% advice is use your local bank account. You can go ahead and set up your Payoneer account now so it's ready, but when you're setting up your Seller Central account, you're in group 1. Use all your local information, including your bank account. And we've got a joint question here that's for both of us, for me and Mike, and it's a good question. It's actually a question we always ask people too. Knowing what you know now, what would you have spent more time, energy on when you first started, knowing that it was a better ratio of effort to reward profit? So first of all, the main thing, I would have not listened to Mike as much as I did, because that really slowed me down. I would be so far ahead now if I hadn't done that. And then he's going to come on in a minute and say, well, that's BS, Rich, because you did this before I did. But I think for me, I'm not sure, for me, the biggest ROI in terms of, in other words, for those who don't know what it means, is for spending the least time to get the most out of it, is probably Amazon ads. Taking the time to constantly check, check your conversion rates, check your ACoS, all that kind of thing. At the end of the day, Amazon ads is an incredibly powerful way of making sales. But the extra bonus you get is it's not just about making sales. It's about ranking a keyword. Mike talks about this in module 7, I believe. You're not just making sales. At the end of the day, if you can break even on Amazon ads, you're still doing good because you're ranking. Amazon give a lot of weight to sales that come through keywords that are used in Amazon ads. And I literally, when I first started, all I did with Amazon ads was chuck up 2 auto, for my first 2 products, chuck up 2 auto campaigns, and that was it. It was, I don't know, months and months before I actually took the time to go and analyze those keywords. And don't forget, back then, we don't have the Amazon keyword tools we have now. But I was lazy. I didn't, my sales were pretty good, so I didn't concentrate on that. And there's a knock-on effect for me with my products. My products would have been ranked much better and would have made a lot more money. So I think for me, that is something I wish I'd spent more time on. I wish I'd spent more time, because at the end of the day, it's pretty boring. You're looking at data all the time. If you've been around for a while and you've been on these calls, you know that I hate data. Well, not that I hate data, but I hate spreadsheets. I hate looking at data. I hate all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, for me, that's probably the one thing I didn't concentrate on enough. That I should have done. But that's it, Mike. You can take over now. And yeah, you got me.
All right. So I'll answer the same question like Rich did. That's a great answer that Rich gave, by the way, because that is the #1 way to get targeted traffic for your products using Amazon sponsored products ads. And then the other half of that equation is that if you're getting the traffic, then making sure it converts. So for me, I wish I would have spent more time on optimizing my listing. So if you think you have a product, like if you follow the guidelines that Rich walks you through on finding the perfect product opportunity, if you create a good listing, you know you're going to get people wanting that product. You know that you can get traffic using Amazon sponsored ads. The product has plenty of demand. You just need to make sure that when they get to your listing, they want to buy your product. So for me, I wish I would have spent even more time on optimizing my listing. That means getting better images, making sure that the title and the bullet points look as good as they possibly can. Those are things that I think that we get so excited sometimes to get our product selling. And don't get me wrong, speed is incredibly valuable. I'd rather have someone launch a product right now with a decent product listing rather than waiting 2 weeks to come up with the perfect product listing. So speed is very important, but then I would have spent more time really going through my listing and maybe asking more people other than, at the time it was just myself and my brother. I would have asked some friends to look at my listing and compare it to my competitor's listing and have them tell me what they liked or disliked or what they liked better about my competitors. Because having a really well optimized listing can be a game changer. I know people, like there are experienced sellers right now. I'm not saying you should do this, but I know experienced sellers that do two things when launching a new product. They create the absolute best listing they possibly can, and then they just turn on sponsored product ads because you will start getting keyword ranking that way. If you know what keywords people are searching for your type of product, and you bid highly on those keywords in Amazon sponsored ads, and you know that you have a great listing, you will get sales, you will get traffic, and you'll get ranking because of that. Again, use LBR. That's the absolute best way for a new seller and a new product to get ranking. But really, really experienced people have been doing this for years. They can just launch using a highly optimized listing in Amazon sponsored ads. And you probably get to that point. You will get to that point once you've been selling for a little bit on Amazon as well. Okay, so let's get to the other questions for me. So this is from Mitch Caballero. If my target ACOS is 100% to rank, so Mitch is talking about module 6, or actually module 7, looking at our Amazon sponsored product ads optimization. So if my target ACOS is 100% to get my product ranking for a keyword, do I have to wait a week after that in order to add 10 cents to it? Or can I bid earlier to get it to be on the first page and rank faster? So in module 6, I give you my formula for optimizing your sponsored product ads. And I talk about how if you really want to start increasing your bids to get more and more sales, you do it by adding 10 cents or so to your listing. No, you can add more. The question is, do you have to wait a week? You can add more sooner if you want to. I like to wait a little bit of time, Mitch, and anyone else listening to this, because sales data, the reporting from Amazon sponsored products can lag by a week. It's not that it always lags a week. It's the way that people buy. We're not like this. We're not normal people. That's an understatement, looking at me and Rich. We're abnormal. But all of us selling, we might tend to click on an ad on Amazon and buy right away or buy tomorrow. The average seller on Amazon, the average buyer on Amazon, when they see an ad and they click on it, most people don't buy for several days. And there's some psychology behind that. And part of the reason is because when that happens, Amazon follows up with them. They retarget them. They send them emails, remind them about that product. So it's just a natural part of the normal consumer buying experience to wait a few days before they buy. So while you can go ahead and increase your bids quicker if you want to, just keep in mind that I do like to wait about a week in order to make sure that anyone who's clicked on my ad, I really know if they bought that product or not. I like to give them about a week to see if they went through and purchased that product. So you can go faster. If you want to move faster and start adding 10 cents more within a day or two, go right ahead. If not, I like to wait a week in order to really get the data to show up. Yes, Rich?
I just want to jump in for somebody, I'm not blaming any mics, disable comments. So for like 5 minutes, we didn't have the comments enabled. So I've re-enabled them again. I'm not kidding. It wasn't Mike. I think something happened in the back end. So if you've been trying to ask questions and you couldn't, you can now. So you'll be able to post comments again.
All righty. Okay. Next question from Mitch again. How does Amazon protect sellers from other competitors clicking on our sponsored ads so that we run out of budget right away? So Amazon does the best they possibly can. There's actually, if you look in your Amazon sponsored product ads, there's a little section that's like a little credit section where they credit you money back. You don't have to do anything. It automatically gets to your account. They have tools. Amazon has more data than anyone else on earth. And they know that if there's the same people clicking on ads time and time again, they pick that up, they have them flagged, and they will credit you back. You don't know about it. They don't tell you that it's happening usually because they're not going to share that kind of information, but they are going out there and doing their best to protect you as a seller from other sellers clicking on your ads. Now, can it happen? Of course it can. I mean, anything can happen when it comes to business. If there are and always will be unethical companies out there, and it's our job just to be as ethical as possible and don't fall into those traps. In the end, it always works out that people who do those things, it comes back around to bite them, and they may have a short little bit of success, but in the end, they will lose their business. So yes, Amazon has their own systems in place to protect us from that. With that in mind, if you see something going on, if you see your product's ads running out super duper quickly, more than humanly possible, and you don't have any sales to show for it, call seller support and report it. They will open up a case and they will investigate. From Ina, a question on Facebook ads. Facebook is asking me for the Facebook pixel. Is that something new? How do I use it? And do I need it? You do not need it at all. A pixel is a piece of code that you put on your own website. And since this is Amazon's website, we can't put that on there. With your own website, later on, once you start selling on your own website, you can put this little piece of code called a pixel. And what that does is that will just track that anytime anyone clicks on any of your ads in Facebook, and if they buy your product on your own website, it'll track that. So you know which ads are actually working for you. But you don't need anything for that right now until much, much later on when you're selling on your own website. Also from Ina, on your Amazon Lightning deals, what did you advertise with those pictures of the goat, the giraffe, etc.? And why would people want to click on those? What was the text? Was it funny? I'd love to use that idea, but I think I'm missing the context. Yeah, so it's kind of a hard one. I think back to what I had on those. You know, my mantra always is that the image gets their attention. The title gets them to click, and then the details of that actually are going to get them to want to buy it. So my text, like my title, it didn't really match with the image at all. So I just wanted to get their attention. So my targeting already knew that there were people that might want my product. So I knew that if they saw that ad, they're already someone who liked to buy on Amazon. They're already someone buying products in my area. So if they saw this kind of funky looking picture and then they read the title, like this balance board is on sale right now, then they might be interested and click on it. So I did not tie my title and text into it. I've seen a lot of people though. I mean, people that are much better at advertising than I, they will tie something, you know, kind of funky into it. If you're selling a balance board, like why is this giraffe so excited? He just used a balance board. You know, you could do that also. There's no right or wrong. You know, whatever works for you, you could split test it. You can actually create two different offers, one with a funky, funny picture with nothing tying to your product. Like don't tie the image to your ad copy, and then try another one that actually ties that image, come up with something funny that ties into it with, you know, with your ad copy, and run them together and see which actually gets more traffic for you. And then you'll know if, based on your product and the way you write, if that works better for you. From Kelly Madani, do you think that I should go for the most responsive supplier, even if he charges a little bit higher price than the other competitors, as long as he provides a high quality product? Absolutely. I will pay for quality service and responsiveness every day of the week. To me, saving a few pennies, dimes, whatever it is, even a buck, it's not worth it if I'm going to be dealing with someone who's going to frustrate me. But you know what? Me not being frustrated is worth a lot of money. And also you getting your products quicker and having a responsive supplier who's going to be responsive to issues you might have is worth hard, cold cash and money. So yes, I would choose the supplier who's most responsive. So from Scarami, what content do you recommend and how often to send to customers on mailing lists? So this is kind of tied back to the questions I believe that were asked of Rich as far as getting people to sign up for your mailing list on your website. And then what he's asking, what content do you send out to them? There is no one answer to this. You need to determine based upon your target audience, what kind of content would they find valuable? You do not want to always be sending them coupons every day, or just when you do email them, you don't want it to be a coupon. You want to, I would like to think once or twice a week, find good solid content. If they're outdoor campers, send them something on really cool camping tips, or maybe the top 10 camping sites in the US or in Europe, wherever you're selling it. Or if they're people who like to cook, send them out free recipes. I can't tell you what the content is because it depends on whatever your customers would like to get. But I would send them out, you know, good quality content once or twice a week. just so they enjoy opening your emails. When you do send them a coupon, they'll be much more apt to want to open it. From AJNB0503. When I enter the type of detailed shoppers that I'm targeting in Facebook, why do the estimated daily results go to blank? I use the same two that Mike did on Facebook, Amazon.com and Engage Shoppers. And then when I entered the third that fits my customers, it went to blank. I've seen this happen before, and it's a Facebook glitch. And what you might want to do is go for a slightly different audience, because what happened, or take off Engage Shoppers. So if you're on here right now, what I've seen happen is, so for example, you're targeting Amazon.com, you're targeting Engage Shoppers. That's a really pretty big audience right there. And then when you put in your niche, whether it's like cooking or whether it's fitness or whether it's outdoors, then it suddenly goes to zero. We know for a fact that there are people who like the outdoors who shop on Amazon. So it's a Facebook glitch. They're suddenly removing that. So if that happens, I would remove the engaged shoppers. I would much rather have someone who's actually shopping on Amazon, so they like shopping on Amazon. Remove the engaged shoppers, and then just use your category or niche, and then you should get more people in your target audience to start targeting. Again, but come back later when you do your next round. Try all three of those, because it shouldn't work that way. Like I said, it's a glitch, and Facebook should have that fixed some point in time. From Daryl Basseri, what aspects should be considered when choosing the final supplier? I think I go over this in the training. I mean, it's price, it's the quality of the sample, and it's also their responsiveness and their communication. Those are the things that I look at. There's no easy way to determine which one's more important. Kind of depends upon you, but I look at all those different aspects. From Frankie 2018, hope this isn't my daughter. Actually, hope it is. I'd like to see her building your business. So is the MOQ order of 200 okay to start with, or should we order more? 200 is absolutely okay to start with, but could you start with more? Absolutely. Because it's really going to depend upon, how many products you're going to need to sell at a discount for your product in order to get it moving. So if you have your product, kind of picked out, and that's the MOQ, go use Helium-10 like I teach you in the LBR. If you're to that point yet, go use an LBR and see how many products it's suggesting you sell. And then you'll know how many you're going to have left over after your launch is over there. It should be enough to get going. But I mean, if you can afford to get more, I always prefer to have it between 300 and 500. That's usually kind of like a real good number for executing a launch. But don't get me wrong. If you can only really afford $200, go with that. You will be fine. Your progress will just be a little slower, and that's totally fine. Also from Frankie, is it really important to have a supplier ship FOB versus EXW? So one is freight on board or free on board, however you determine it, or X works is another freight term. My supplier will only do a minimum order of 100, but for FOB orders, you have to have an order of 1,000. Obviously, I don't want to order so much to start with, as we're in Australia and the order will be going to the US. Do I need to engage a freight forwarder for an order of 200 cartons, or can I ship it using a courier? Okay, so two questions. It doesn't matter to me whether you go FOB or EXW. Shouldn't matter to you either. At the end of the day, your price should be the same. So the EXW usually will be a little cheaper, but your freight forwarder then will have to go actually to your supplier's warehouse and our manufacturing plant and pick it up. So they'll charge you a little more. Usually it balances out. So if they want to use EXW to get you a 100 MOQ, go right ahead. That's totally fine. And then you ask if you're ordering only 200 units, so 2 cartons, can you just ship using a courier? Now, again, I always recommend using a freight forwarder. That's like the safest way in case you run into any issues. However, we do say that if you have a small enough order and you're willing to take the risk that if something goes wrong, God forbid, and that inventory gets lost or gets stuck in customs, if you're willing to undertake that risk, that could happen because that's maybe a small order at first, then yeah, you can go shipping by air or by courier. That is possible to do. Again, I don't recommend it. Can you do it? Absolutely. I know people that do it. I know lots of people that have had no problems. I know some people who have had issues. So it's really it's a question of whether or not you're willing to take on that risk. If you think that it's going to be fine, if your supplier, how about this? If your supplier makes you feel really, really comfortable that they've done this before, they've shipped it to Amazon with no issues, and you feel like they're being legitimate and authentic, and you're okay with it, then that would make me feel better about you doing that and saving the money and not using a freight forwarder. Also from Frankie, lots of good questions. So does my daughter. She has tons of good questions. I have an option to add a bonus item to my product. Do you think it's a good idea for the first order, or should I wait till my second order? I think adding a bonus item is always a great idea. If it differentiates your product and makes it more appealing than your competition, and it's easy enough for you to do, so it doesn't really delay you from launching your product too much, and it doesn't cost you a lot more money, then yeah, add a bonus product. It definitely can't hurt. From Oaken Sage, when I'm searching for my target keyword using the filters suggested in Module 6, I don't get good terms for my product. There are two good search terms that have a competitor rank average of 58 and 63, one of which is my primary keyword and the other is a variation of the primary. And the total CPR giveaways are 64 and 72 respectively. What are the effects of a higher competitor rank average on the LBR process and results? So going back to Module 6, we talk about LBR. This is where we're really making use of the Cerebro tool and figuring out how many keywords your competitors are ranking for and where they're ranking. And here's the theory. The theory is if you have 10 competitors that are your 10 top competitors for that product, and there are certain search terms that the majority of those competitors are showing up for on page 1, well, then those are very relevant search terms for your product. That's the theory behind it, that, hey, if these top sellers are all ranking for these keywords, those are the keywords you want to be ranking for as well. So that's the importance of it. The higher that number is, that means the more competitors are ranking for that keyword and the more relative it is. Now, if a competitor rank average is 58 and 63, then that means you have some competitors doing well and some that are not doing well. I don't think that's too bad. I mean, as long as there's still some competitors in there that are ranking on page 1 for those keywords, then that shows you there's demand, that shows you that it's relevant, and it also shows you that those other competitors, you should be able to beat them out on there because they're not doing very well. So hopefully Oaken Sage to answer your question. If you feel like those are two good search terms and there's enough volume and they have those competitor ranks of 58 and 63, I go for them. Just make sure there's enough volume for those search terms. From AC Ducey, okay. I'm going to be calling the IRS to get an EIN to help me differentiate time zones. Can anyone tell me which time zones the IRS is located in when calling? So the IRS has offices all across the United States. So you won't know which one you're getting. It'll either be the Eastern time zone, Central time zone, Mountain time zone, or Pacific time zone. One of those four. I would venture to say chances are you'll probably get the Eastern time zone. That's the one you should look for in order to call them. Let's see. Next question from Zlakatowski. This is a funny one. Yesterday, there was a webinar with Rich and Cherie Yvette about joining something called Amazon Showdown Bootcamp, which is all about sponsored product ads. First off, there was actually Jason and not Cherie. They look very alike. I know that. The price of the program was about $2,000. What's the connection with ASMX? And do we have to pay for this? And does ASMX already contain this content presented yesterday? And so first off, this is not absolutely, positively not anything anyone on this call needs right now. So what we've done is, so you have everything that you need inside of ASMX to build your brand, launch your product, start ranking for it, and start getting sales. We've given you everything that you need. I've even given you exactly how I rank and optimize my products using sponsored product ads. So you have all that. What we've done is we found Cherie Yvette. She manages ad campaigns for multi-million-dollar sellers on Amazon. And so she was willing to offer up her training in this boot camp. This is her own proprietary training, but it is only for advanced sellers. It is not for anyone just starting out. You have everything you need. If anyone here is just launching their product and you would go and take this training, it would totally confuse you right now. And believe me, I mean, Rich and I, we would love, it's in amazing.com's interest to have as many people on here go ahead and purchase this $2,000 incredible training. If we really thought you'd benefit from it, we would tell you right now, go buy that training. It's in everyone's benefit. We're telling you right now, you don't need it. Save that money. Your money right now is better spent on inventory and getting your product and selling it and start launching and building your brand. Later on down the road, 6 months, a year from now, once you have a product or two selling, you got your brand established, you're doing pretty well. If you want to take your business to the next level and start working using the same methodology that these tens of millions of dollars sellers use, that's when you might consider getting the boot camp, and it should still be available then. Don't feel like you have to go out there and get it right now. Again, Rich and I will always be honest with you about this stuff. No matter what our relationship is with, other people selling courses or training, if we think you need it, we'll tell you. If we don't think you need it, we'll tell you as well. We want you guys to be successful. And then later on down the road, then that'd be an awesome thing to get, but not right now. Okay, from Miss La Vista. Aside from inventory, how much capital do we need for our brand assets, the launch costs, PPC, etc.? And on average, how many weeks or months does it take for the business to start making money through ASMX? So for the first question, aside from your inventory, I'm assuming your inventory covers the product and the shipping. The only other capital you need is a couple $100. Now, and most of that will be for, let's see, I would spend some of that on getting a good product image, maybe a professional photographer take your picture, and 2, on Facebook ads. The other PPC costs inside of Amazon, you don't spend that money. That just gets deducted from Amazon sales. So you don't have to come up with any other additional cash for that. But a couple $100 is more than enough to launch your product. And I like using them on pictures, on professional photos, and then on Facebook ads. How many weeks, months does it take? I would say on average, 6 months after you launch your product is a good time frame for when you should start seeing some profits out of the business. It can happen a lot sooner. I'm just giving you guys the average what we've seen here. It can happen a lot sooner after you launch your product, but at 6 months really means that you've launched your product, it's selling, you probably reordered inventory once, maybe even twice by then, and you're starting to optimize your sponsor product ads. You're continuing to get really better rankings and consistent sales. I would say that's a good time frame. Again, it can be all over the place. That's why we hate giving time frames on this, but 6 months is a pretty good bellwether time frame to start looking at this. From Mitch Caballero, my daily budget of $30 on sponsored ads runs out really fast, like in 3 hours, and then it's done. My bids range anywhere from $1.39 to $1.50. What should I do in order to optimize my PPC and get on first page? I'm currently on second page. There's no one thing. There's no one thing I could tell you in order to get onto first page with PPC. And think about it this way. So your daily budget's $30. If you have competitors that are spending $200 and they're bidding $3 a bid, you cannot beat them. I hate to say it. Like, it's math and it's an auction place and it's competition when it comes to bidding for these keywords. I can't give you a magical tip that's going to make you get on first page by spending less money with smaller bids. There's just nothing I can make that happen. I can give you some suggestions for optimizing it though. One, if your budget's running out really fast, keep it off in the morning. Keep your, most sales don't come in the morning anyway. Keep your ads off until the afternoon, then turn them on. That way you'll be selling in the afternoon where more people are buying. And there's a better chance of you getting sales, more sales per click. I suggest that to anyone who's running out of their budgets really quickly. Turn them off. You have to do it manually. There's no automated way to do it inside of Amazon. Keep them off in the morning, but turn them on in the afternoon, and that will help right there. The other thing you can do is just keep looking at which keywords are really getting you the sales, and only focus your budget on those keywords and not wasting money on the other keywords. And just look at, and keep optimizing, like keep pulling down your search term reports like I show you to do in module 7, and keep finding and mining for more keywords. Okay, so let's see. AC Ducey, you had a detailed question about EINs, about what to fill out on the forms, and form 1, question 2. I don't have those answers. I've never filled out that form. So the best thing here is for you to post that in the community, tag Rich and I, so we both see it, and then we'll make sure to bring the mentors in to get you some more detailed answers to your question. In reality, the best thing is that just call the IRS. They're really friendly, believe it or not. When you're calling to sign up to give them money, they're very nice to you. So don't worry about that. And they're not going to track your call, log anything. They would actually have the question. Explain to them. Just say that, I live in Canada. I'm going to be selling products on Amazon. I haven't set up a business yet, so I want to get to EIN. What do I put in these fields? They'll tell you exactly what it should be. But if you want to post in the community, tag Rich and I, and we'll bring some mentors in who've actually filled this out. And that way you'll know. So from Mel Beckons, if you already have a product that's selling, getting traffic, but you want to drive new keyword rankings, would you suggest using the old ASM 9 launch way of using unique codes instead of the coupon system? Because I'm ASM 9. So I know what you're getting to. So the coupons, Amazon coupons, as we teach to use inside of the new Launch Blitz and Rank, they work awesome, especially for new products and new sellers, because you're not getting a lot of traffic. So the traffic that you are getting using your Facebook ads and your sponsored ads are much, much more likely to buy your product, because when they get there, they see this awesome coupon on there. But for existing sellers, what this, what Mel Beckins is asking, if I already have people buying my product, I'm getting traffic, why do I want to go out there and give these people discounts when I really only want to give discounts to the people that are going to help me rank for a keyword? And so what he's saying is, can we use these Facebook offers with a unique coupon code like we taught in the old version of ASM? The answer is you can do that. There's good logic to what you're saying there, and you can go through that process and set up exactly this way we taught in ASM 9. That's not a problem, and that should work pretty well. However, I'm going to tell you what I would do. I wouldn't do that. I love Amazon coupons. And so what I would do, I would still go out there and I would still use Amazon coupons. Personally, I would use Amazon coupons and just target those Facebook ads traffic to go towards the new keywords you want to get traffic for. And at the same time, I would really increase the bids on the new keyword you want to get traffic for as well. Because what will happen is you should start converting with sponsored product ads as well. If you think about this, that's why I love the new launch method using coupons. Not only are you getting these targeted keyword-rich purchases from Facebook, you're now getting them from your Amazon sponsored product ads. Because before, people who clicked on an Amazon ad, they didn't get that coupon offer. So they weren't as incentivized to buy. Now, using Amazon coupons to show up on your product page, anyone who clicks on this, on your ad during the Amazon sponsored search they're doing, they are much more likely to buy, and it's going to help you with those search terms. So for me, I still love the Amazon coupons. Yes, you'll also start giving discounts to other people. That's a decision you got to make. For me, I really prefer doing that and just increase your bids greatly for the keywords you want to rank for on Amazon sponsored product ads. But if you want to go out there and use the old way, you still can do that. Absolutely. There's no black or white, right or wrong answer to this question. It's a great question though. Okay, so from AGBN 503, I'm ready to launch. And I have 4 reviews and I want to do coupons, but I don't yet have 1 seller feedback required to do that. How do I get one of my customers to give me feedback? Am I missing something? So 2 things. 1, if you have 4 reviews, I'm assuming you kind of know these people that have given you reviews. Contact them and ask them to give you seller feedback as well. They should be able to do that very easily. If you don't know these people, you just happen to get those 4 reviews, then be sure that you're using your emails, your follow-up emails inside of Managed by Stats, and you're asking people to give you seller feedback. Now, we don't necessarily teach that because getting seller feedback is really simple, and you only need to get 1 right now. It just happens usually. But you can absolutely go inside and email any of your existing people who bought your product, just thank them for their purchase, and ask them if they had a good selling experience and would they mind providing seller feedback to you. I know it may seem like it's really hard to get, but it's going to happen. Seller feedback happens really, really easily. You're probably just a few days, maybe a week from getting it. But then ask people to give you a review, to give you seller feedback, and also contact people using the email system inside of Seller Central who bought your product and ask them to give you seller feedback. Final question from Hanul Sultan. I have a product, which is when I price it at 100% of profit, it falls a little shy of the $17 sweet spot. Personally, I think the ideal price would actually be $13 for the product. Should I price it at $70 to make more of a higher profit? Or should I provide a double pack and say charge $23 to $26? Or should I keep it at $13? My personal opinion is I wouldn't keep it at $13 because that's below the ASM criteria. And that means you're going to have a hard time spending money on traffic in order to get a profit out of this product. So then, so first I would scratch off charging $13 for this product. Maybe a little bit to start off to get traffic, but traffic sales, but in general, don't do that. I like the idea of charging more for it, but if it's going to be really priced higher than your competition, it's not going to work out too well unless your product looks amazingly better than everyone else's and you have, just as many good reviews as everyone else. You're going to have a hard time charging more for your product. So again, I wouldn't do that option either. But if you can double pack it, that's a great idea. That's a great way to make your product stand out among your other competition right there. So again, it scares me that the product's so inexpensive because it doesn't fit the criteria. So I would look to a way to, double pack it if you want to and try to give them more value and still make a good profit off it. That'll give you enough money to advertise and promote it and market it. And that's all I had over there, but I think I have another question over here in a different area. I'm going to hit it right now, Rich. Mike, in simple words, what does a negative keyword mean and why is it important? Okay, so in Amazon sponsored product ads, we bid on keywords that you want to have your product show up for when people are searching for it. So if they're searching for balance board, then you want your product to show up for it. A negative keyword is a term that you don't want your product to show up for. So there are other types of balance boards out there, like balance boards with wheels. They're kind of like skateboards and scooters, and they get confused. So let's say you did not want your product to show up for balance board with wheels. You would put balance board with wheels in the negative search terms, so you're not wasting money on those ads. That's what negative search terms are. Anytime someone types in that keyword that you put into the negative search terms, your ads won't show up and you won't waste money. Also, Mike, can you explain in simple words what ACoS is? I'm confused with it. Sure. ACoS stands for the average cost of a sale. And all that really means is that you take how much money you spent on your ads in order to get a sale out of it, and that's your ACoS. So if you have a $20 product and you had to spend $20 in order to get that sale, like you ran through 20 clicks at $1 each and you finally got a sale, you spent $20 in order to make $20. And that means you spent 100% in order to make that sale. Now, if you only had to spend $10 to get that $20 sale, that's 50%. If you only had to spend $1, I'm going to catch myself up, that's 5%. So the lower your ACoS, the less you're spending every time you make a sale. That's what it stands for. And let's see, Mike, is there anything I need to consider before and during Chinese New Year? The main thing to consider is that you have your orders in before Chinese New Year, which is coming up, I believe, near the end of January, and that you communicate with your supplier. If you are expecting them to produce your product before Chinese New Year, make sure you communicate that with them. You tell them and you ask them, hey, not in those terms, if I want to have my product done and ready before Chinese New Year, when do I need to have my order into you? I can't tell you that date because it's going to be different for every supplier, but you can start communicating to them right now and find out when that date is to get your order in on time. And then after that, another thing to keep in mind is that when Chinese New Year is over, usually the middle of or end of February, the suppliers are slammed. A lot of people have been out of inventory and waiting for them to come back. They all want their orders in. So just expect your delivery times or the manufacturing time to be longer than normal after Chinese New Year. Mike, I no longer see the option for filtering gold sellers in Alibaba. Is this option no longer available? They just removed that about a week or two ago. I was thinking it might be a glitch or they might be testing something before I actually updated the training, because I don't want to update it and then have them put it back in. But it looks like they have removed it. So nothing else has changed. You can't filter for it now, but you can still identify which suppliers are gold. It's just going to make the process a little more difficult because you can't filter out the people who are not gold. I'm going to go in there and update that in the training shortly. But yeah, still use gold as your criteria. Just know that when you're reviewing them, you have to manually look and see that gold badge on them. And then let's see, we already talked about the EXW versus FOB. And Rich, that is it. That's the last question that I had.
Awesome, good job. Like I've known you we've been doing this together for what, like 3 years? I'm still amazed that you never take a breath. Okay, like with my bad eyesight, I'm going to try and read these tiny little questions that have come from the live call. From Victor Sharchuk. I'm a new member and found already 15 products already. Something is not right here. As you say, it takes at least a couple of weeks or a month. Should I keep doing it and just build more opportunities to have more choices of initial products? You can, by all means. We say it can take up to a couple of weeks or a month. Like some people do it quicker. It's just the way it is. I doubt you're doing anything wrong. If you're absolutely, if you're not sure if you're doing this correctly, take a screenshot of your hot opportunity list that doesn't show obviously the keyword, the name, the URL. So just show the BSR reviews. That should be enough actually, and post it in the community, and we'll just have a quick look for you and make sure that you're on the right track. Obviously include the primary. So you want to take a screenshot of the workbook that goes from the primary product BSR through and show that the competing products BSRs too. For your products, and we'll take a quick look for you and tell you whether you're doing something wrong. But I just think you're doing a really good job. This one I've got to edit slightly because I don't want to call these people's names out. But it's another question from Victor Sherchuk. I watched an interview with somebody and somebody else. The somebody else is actually He owns one of the big Amazon tools out there. And he also mentioned that looking for at least 2 to 3 competitive products in the first top 10 with reviews under 50. Where is he coming from? We only look for 2 competing products to have under 1,000 reviews. Can you comment on this? Yeah, we're right. No, like, so there's different ways of doing things. I'm not sure exactly what he said, because what you're saying he said is like doesn't make any sense at all. I don't think you'd have any products available out there. The criteria we use, we've changed continually. Like for the last, we've been doing this 6 years. What we focus 100% on is providing training that gets our members results. You know, when you joined, I'm sure you saw all the success stories we've got. And that's because we focus 100% on how to teach people how to create their businesses. You're going to see a ton of other stuff out there from people, you know, whether they create Amazon tools or, you know, they claim to be an expert because they've made, you know, lots of money, and they might have made loads of money. The difference is we do all that, but we have trained people for 6 years on getting success. Like, we know what works. The product criteria we use just works flat out. Now, I'm not saying there's not other criteria out there that doesn't work, or that does work, whichever way around I said it. You know, there probably is, but you know, we can only teach you what we know works. We're not about to start like including what other people think, because at the end of the day, we test this. We have, you know, every time we do a full launch, we've got like around 1,000 members going through this, and they're getting success. So, you know, at the end of the day, it works. As I said, what you described that he said here doesn't make sense to me at all, to be quite honest. I'm not sure how you would find products that way. You're going to have a lot of shiny objects out there. You're going to have a lot of, you know, people contacting you. At the end of the day, you know, we recommend several tools. That doesn't mean we recommend that you go and do everything they tell you, okay? At the end of the day, we recommend their tools because we use their tools and their tools work. Our strongest advice, and I've said this on multiple calls too, is that concentrate on what we're teaching. At the end of the day, you invested your money and your time in yourself and in us. You know, there was a reason you did that. Try to ignore all the other stuff out there. If we thought something else would work, well, no, that's not right. If we knew something else out there worked, we would teach it to you, okay? At the end of the day, we know what we teach you works, and we update it constantly. Like Mike's just updated the LBR because he found a better way of launching a product that works better, and by actually doing it, okay? So we know what works. And, you know, I may sound a little bit passionate about this, but, you know, I do get other people saying, oh, look what he said, look what he said. And it's like, at the end of the day, you invested your time and money in us. Like, why would you listen to somebody else? I don't know why he said that. I don't understand his criteria at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe I misread it, or maybe there was more to it. But stick to our criteria, it works. You know, just look for the success stories. That's my comment on that. Rich, when do you recommend creating an LLC? At what moment during the process? Personally, like, I wouldn't recommend, if you like creating an LLC until you've got a product up and running and selling. It's not something you have to have, but moving forward, it's something you will want, because at the end of the day, it gives your brand more credibility that you've got a company. There's nothing wrong with creating one sooner. But like, personally for me, I think it's something you don't need to concentrate on right now. You're 100% focused on finding a product, finding a supplier, ordering an inventory, and launching it. You know, after that, by all means, go ahead and create LLC. It's not something you have to do. It is something, however, we recommend you do once you're up and selling. I got one from Andrew Willman. Question for Rich. Why is there no beach reflected behind you today? Well, as you'll notice, I'm wearing a sweater, okay? And just to show you, that's my view, okay? Now, it's not a bad view, but it's cloudy, it's wet, it's 50 degrees, and I'm miserable. So I'm doing a really good job of trying to be upbeat on this call. But I'm actually back in Austin. So for those of you that didn't see the previous calls, I was in Costa Rica for a month. So I'm back in Austin right now. So yes, I am suffering with the cold. Thank you for that, Andrea. If you did recognize the name, yes, she's one of our mentors. And what is the Rich? What is the equivalent to LLC in the UK, and when do I need to look at it if I want to sell a beauty product? So the equivalent of an LLC in the UK is called an LTD, limited company. You go on to talk about whether you should sell in the UK or the US. Even if you're in the UK, I would always lean towards the US. If you've chosen to sell in the UK, that's fine. There are advantages, you get the product shipped to you and all that kind of stuff. But the US is a bigger market. If I was living in the UK right now, or say like my brother or my best friend was living in the UK right now and wanted to start this business, I would probably lean towards getting them to go to the US. If you're going to sell in the UK, then you should really get your limited company set up and a bank account for that limited company before you set up your Seller Central account in the UK. The UK Seller Central account, they have bigger restrictions, probably because of the EU. And yes, I would have voted for Brexit if I was in England at the time. But there's more complications. For instance, it's very difficult to change your information once you've got it set up. So it's very difficult to change from a personal name to a company name. A lot of the time, they won't even let you have a professional account if you don't have a company. But it is more difficult to it is more difficult to change information. So if you're determined to sell in the UK, that's fine. But go and get your limited company set up before you create your Seller Central account. If not, I would, just use your personal information and set up in the US for now. My last question, since I just started as an ASM member and I don't have a Seller Central account, also I don't have any products yet, isn't it smarter to start with individual program and then switch to professional? So we recommend you start with a professional account regardless. So right now, like especially if you're in a group 1 country, actually it doesn't even matter if you're a group 1 country, if you're in a group 1 or group 2 country. But like, so I'm just having a look at this question again so I don't mess this up. So if you start with an individual account, and this applies if you're selling in the US, if you then upgrade to professional, you're going to get a review without a shadow of a doubt of your account. It's just something they do now when you upgrade. So that can be an issue, and especially if you've already been through that. If you created an individual account and had to go through reviews again, because again, it's like hurdles to overcome. It's stressful. You'll get approved, but it is stressful and takes time. And then you've got to go through the entire process again, because you can't just say, well, I got approved before. Because they go, well, we still want to see your documentation. So what it boils down to here is, for me, it's the trade-off. Okay, you're going to be paying 40 odd bucks or whatever it is a month until you actually start selling. And yeah, that can add up if it's 4 or 5 months down the road. But the plus side of that is when you're ready to sell, you don't have any issues. You don't have to upgrade and think, oh, am I going to go through that review again? How long is that going to take? And all this kind of thing. So it can cause issues. The situation you're in, if you're in a group 1 country, then by all means delay setting up your Seller Central account. If you're in a group 1 country, the odds of you getting any issues are like slim to none. So you can delay that. Go ahead and find your product. Go through the modules 1 and 2 if you want, without creating your Seller Central account. The same kind of goes for group 2 as well, but that can have issues. But if you're in group 3 right now, set up your account now, and I strongly recommend you set up a professional account. What you can do, and this doesn't always work, but for the most part it seems to work, set up your Seller Central account as professional. If you get 2-3 months down the road and your product isn't ready yet, contact Amazon and say, I don't want to downgrade, my product's almost ready, but like I haven't been selling my products for 3 months. Is there any way I can get a refund of those 3 months? A lot of the time they will refund you that money. But it's purely, the reason I strongly recommend it is, I've said it a couple of times in this call, Amazon is just getting really picky now when you're creating an account. The less hurdles you create with them doing that, the better. And that's why I strongly recommend you use a professional account. It sounds like if you're in a group 1 country, which I'm possibly assuming you are, then by all means wait, find your product. But as soon as you're ready to order your inventory, before you're ready to order your inventory, get your Seller Central account set up, just in case anything goes wrong. it's the reason we get you all to set it up as soon as possible, is that, if you start setting up your account and you start getting issues, it can delay everything moving forward. And it's a real pain in the neck. It's one of the worst things Amazon do. Like I work personally with so many people doing this. And it's hard, it's like, it doesn't make any sense a lot of the time. So just follow my recommendation. Yes, it's going to cost you 40 odd bucks a month, but it's worth it not to have the hassle of getting a review even when you upgrade. So that's my last question, and Mike's just posted 3 times, just in case I missed it. And all 2, because he knows my eyesight's terrible. Ready for your one job. Yes, I'm ready for my one job. You were hoping I wasn't. You thought I was going to panic. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so my one job. For all the new people on this call, every week we have a Community Helper of the Week award. And basically, the mentors find members that are helping out in the community. It doesn't have to be answering questions, but encouraging people, just becoming an active member of the ASM family in the community. So they basically identify these people, we put them in a list, and then they vote on who they think should be the winner. And everyone gets a Community Helper of the badge, which is a very sought after badge. And by the way, every single one of our mentors got that badge before they became a mentor. So if you want to become a mentor, you're going to need to win one of these. Well, maybe. And the winner of each, so the Community Helper of the Week, the one Community Helper of the Week, not only gets the kudos of winning, they also get a 30-minute call with one of our mentors. So these are the runners-up, okay? And it's actually, she asked a question on this call, Ina. And then we had Wal, W-A-L, 2345, Sayad 2, Carlos Burgos, you've been mentioned before, I'm sure you have, 2501, and BLS Parva, or BL Sparva, one or the other. So thank you so much for helping. If you haven't already got a Community Helper badge, you're going to get one for being awesome and helping everyone out. But this week's winner of the Week 7 Community Helper badge of the week is Educaneva. For some reason I'm thinking of Evil Knievel for that. Educaneva, Educanever. I'm kind of assuming that as soon as I said that, they know who they are. But you've won the Community Helper badge of the week, the Community Helper of the Week. So you're going to not only get the badge, you're also going to get an extra 30-minute call with one of our mentors. And that's me done, Mike.
Awesome, and congratulations to the community helpers. Honestly, you have no idea how much we appreciate that, because not only are it's not just Rich and I doing this, not just the mentors, the members like you guys make the community as incredible as it is. So thank you guys very much, and absolutely go out there and get that call scheduled. You can ask the mentors or whoever you get anything you want for 30 minutes. It's incredibly valuable. I don't know, like Rich, I didn't have a chance, like when I was starting out. We didn't offer any 30-minute coaching calls right away, did we? I
don't think we did that till, I want to say ASM 4 or 5. And originally, trying to think all the way back, I think originally it was, they got a call with Jason, but we just decided we want to give extra value. So we now don't anyone tell him I said that.
But no, I wish that I had that opportunity. So it's incredibly valuable. Take advantage of it. We want you guys to take advantage of it. So that is all for this week. I want to do a special shout out for the 2 mentors in the background, Steve, the Swedish chef, and also Tracy. It's just been those 2. They've been answering questions like gangbusters. You guys rock incredibly. The other 2 ladies who aren't here, Elaine and Joanne, they rock as well. Joanna's with her husband, who's having some surgery today. So our thoughts go out to you guys. I don't think it's anything major, but just you're always thinking about you when that happens. And Elaine is being whisked off by her husband on a surprise adventure. So we're really excited that she's out having a fun time. So enjoy the time off, Elaine. Have a great time. And next week, you can answer twice as many questions as everyone else. So thanks, everyone, for being on the call. Remember, tomorrow morning, for the original ASMX members, Module 8 opens up. It's all about scaling your business and taking it to the next level, and about making your life easier, about building a team that will do your work for you. That's kind of the goal of this. I mean, we're not here to give ourselves another job. It will be work for a while. Don't get me wrong. There is work involved in this. But the goal is after a year or so, your work should be getting less because you bring on people who help make your life easier. That's the goal of it. So that's what's covered tomorrow. For everyone else, if you're on here, remember, keep doing the lessons, keep taking action, keep asking questions. We'll have another coaching call next Thursday, exact same time, 2 p.m. Central Time. On Wednesday, we'll send out an email notifying you about that. We'll let you know about the post to ask any questions you have beforehand. So don't hold those questions until next week. Keep asking them in the community. But if you get to next Wednesday and there's something important that you haven't got an answer to, ask it in the thread that we'll be emailing about. That way we can cover it live on the call. That's all that I have. I'm going to let Rich do the final sign off this week.
I just had a thought, actually, when you were talking about like Elaine out there, like relaxing on the beach and all that kind of stuff. And Joanne, I guess Joanne's got a good reason and everything, but like maybe we make them appear live on the call next week.
Ooh, good idea. I like that.
Yeah. And like, just let Tracy and Steve just sit there and laugh at them. Of course, that wouldn't happen. We have had them on the call before. Yeah, so basically, just everything Mike said. If you've just started, if you're just beginning, don't panic, take your time. Move through the course at your own pace. You will get there, and we'll be here to make sure you get there. So stick with it, and we'll see you next Thursday.